Hey there everyone, it's Zephyr with your ChildTrax support team, and in this video I'm going to show you how to add a user and how to do basic maintenance with all your users in your system. So adding a user is actually pretty simple. All you have to do is come up here in the top right of your system maintenance screen and you'll see a button that says users. When I click that button, it's going to take you to this screen you see here. Now, in here is where you would search for any user that is currently in your system. But what we want to do is we want to focus on adding a new user. So all I have to do is type their first and last name, and I'm going to make this simple. So I'll say John Smith. And next to the branch we want to put that employee or user into whatever branch that they want to be in, or they're going to be in. So I'm going to say this person's in Dayton, and I'm going to click Add User. Now when I click Add User, this is the screen that's going to come up. And what we want to focus on first is the user details. Now the user details have all the basic things about that employee or user. So make sure that the active box in the top left here is checkmarked as long as you want them to show up in the system. Then we want to make sure that their name is spelled and typed here correctly. Make sure that you have the correct branch. And then we're going to go to and click a start date. Now unless we have a start date selected, they aren't going to show up as well. So I'm going to say he starts today, the 21st of 2014. Now the end date would only be true if that employee was no longer going to be with the company, or if that user left, such as a foster parent, that kind of thing. Now when you have an end date and that user is terminated, make sure you select the date that they're terminated and make sure you uncheck the active button. Otherwise they're still going to show up in the system. So let's go back to adding the user. So under the start page, this is where their home page will be every time that they log into the system. So depending on what their responsibilities are going to be, this is where you would select them. So if they're going to be someone in licensing, this is what we select here. Now please also make sure that you do have the email address entered here correctly. Without the email address, they won't be able to change their password and they won't receive any notifications. So I'm just going to say john.smith@asi-ware.com. So security level, you also want to make sure that they have the appropriate security level for whatever their responsibilities are going to be. Now for the use for incident notifications, if you want them to be notified about any incident, make sure this is checkmarked as well. And then the work phone, cell phone, and home phone is self-explanatory. If you have that information, make sure you enter it there. Their review level is what they're able to review within the system. And then their job level is whatever their job title would be. If you use a staff ID number, make sure you put it in here. And if you use background checks, use them here. Once you have all the information entered, all you have to do is click Save. And now all that information is updated with that user. The next thing we want to focus on is if they're a case or intake worker, as we click right here. And then we can check mark any of these. The case workers will be able to work on any of the cases. The intake workers will be able to take anything in, such as referrals. Now, if they're only working out of the Dayton office, all I would do is only check the Dayton office. If they were working out of any of the other branches, I would check mark those as well. You can check mark as many as you want. Just make sure it matches appropriately with whatever that user will be handling. Once I'm satisfied with that, I'll click Save. And now they will come up under the case workers and the intake workers within the Dayton branch. And the most important thing is coming next. Here on the left hand side you'll see the menu button. Now if you do not decide or click any of these menus, if they do not have any menus selected, they will get an error when they try to log in, because it will not know what kind of things you want them to see within the ChildTrax system. Now as you can see up here in the top left, I have these black boxes here, which will take me to the different places within ChildTrax. Now, to get these black boxes to show up here, make sure that you have the appropriate black boxes checked as you see here. Also, whatever else that you would like them to have access to or what you would like them to see within there, make sure you check these as well. Otherwise, they will not be able to see any of these items without them being checked. As you can see, there is also submenus. And the submenus are what you see here below the client field. Anything that has something that pops out to the right, as you can see there's arrows next to these, those would be the subfields. Now, if you want things within the subfield, again, just check mark any of these. Now, once you have everything set in here, what you would like them to see within their when they log in as a user, just click Save. And now when they log in, they will be able to see whatever you check marks through up here. Now, if you want to check or change any details about that user, all you have to do is go back to your system maintenance, click on users again, and in here you would just search for that person. So if I just type Smith, as you can see, here's John Smith right here. I'll click View Details, and then again I can edit just like I was showing you here a little bit ago. Now, especially if you're removing somebody, this is where you would go to do that. And again, just make sure you uncheck the active and also select the end date. And this would conclude the user adding and maintenance.